So every day you go swimming and then have chicken.
No.
What I will wind up, okay, because people are dispersing, and if it is to be reconstituted, please tell me if you have any topic of interest. Otherwise, I will let it lapse, because as usual, I see that some of the faculty members have stopped coming and so on. So if there is interest, we can do something. Okay? Otherwise, it is not worth my while to push this. Okay? So you tell me. Okay? So what I want to do is to do theta angle in non-abelian case series. Okay, and I will take the for specificity. Let me take gauge group it can be SUN, okay, is SUN, okay, say SU2, does it make any difference? All the phenomenon we are looking for is already present when we look at SU2. So let us, we can focus on that. Okay. Then the whole thing is hinging on the following, the Gauss law. Okay. We assume for a minute that the Gauss law with no matter is covariant derivative of the electric field, okay, is 0. Okay, where E, this is a covariant derivative, so di EI is divergence of EI plus the commutator AI with EI. Yeah, but these are all Lie algebra valued. Say tau alpha. This is a Pauli matrices, let us say. These are Lie algebra value, and this thing is weakly 0. Okay. This is a Gauss law, one of the equations of motion. There is matter, there is an additional term, and in gravity there is a corresponding equation which governs gravity, but never mind gravity. But as I told you before, in quantum theory, must write one as, okay, in the following way: covariant derivative of some test function, okay, alpha times E alpha, okay, dI of alpha is acting on quantum states is 0, where lambda is a test function. You remember that derivative, these are in quantum theory, these E's are not ordinary functions, but they are operator value distributions. Okay? Because it is a distribution, the derivative of a distribution is written in terms of deriving the test functions. Okay? But we want this equation to classical equivalence of 2 to 1 requires that this lambda at infinity is 0. Okay, so I can do partial negation. Right? If lambda vanishes sufficiently fast at infinity, I can do a partial negation. Okay, so then, okay, 2, okay, we can do partial, we can partially integrate this operator classically, that is this operator di lambda alpha ei alpha as minus lambda alpha di ei alpha, right? And this is true for all test functions vanishing at infinity. So you see that locally this is still 0. Okay? So we find that this quantum requirement which is put here, okay, because these are distributions, operators and distributions, plus requirement of some kind of a classical limit requires that the test functions vanish at infinity. Okay? Okay. So the test functions are vanishing at infinity. So the group, so call this object G lambda dA lambda of alpha ei alpha. Okay. This is the one which generates gauge. This is the generator gauge transformations. Is the generator of gauge transformations, okay, which become identity at infinity. Okay, call it G of infinity. Okay, so this
last line is
this one.
So if I can think of this as di acting on lambda alpha ei alpha.
dA alpha no, this is simply identity of classical functions. Classically lambda is a function, this is a function, so just an integral. Alpha is an SU2 index 1, 2, 3. Then since lambda is vanishing at infinity and all derivatives, let us see, I can do a partial integration, I get this. Okay. So when I say this vanishes on states, that is equivalent classically to the Gauss law, because it will say for all lambdas here I have this is a Gauss law. Okay. So I can choose sufficiently large lambdas to show that the Gauss law is fulfilled for all local regions. Okay. So this enforces the Gauss law. Okay. Okay. So this is what I call now, but since okay, it is a form some exponential ig lambda, okay, infinity here means that the gauge transformation becomes identity at infinity. Okay, doesn't do anything. So, but it is of this form where lambda vanishes infinity, which can be deformed to identity staying in G infinity. I just write exponential this one exponential I t G lambda, okay, then let t go to 0. Okay, I can scale the lambda by t. Okay, I won't bother the boundary condition because multiplying by t won't change the vanishing at infinity. Then I make t go to 0. Then this whole thing goes to identity of the group. So what this means is that this group Gauss law generates the identity component of the group, right? So Gauss law generates the identity component of G infinity, call it G0 infinity of G infinity. Okay. But here comes the trick. Okay. But G infinity consists of the gauge group of all maps going from R3 to SU2, which topologically is S3. I took the gauge group to be SU2 for simplicity, such that this element, okay, the group element, okay, at infinity we always, okay, as image, because that is a statement that I am looking at G infinity. Okay. So I can identify the point at infinity. So I can compactify, right? So compactify R3 to S3. So I can think of this map. Okay. So this G infinity is exactly the same as maps S3 to S3. I say, if you forget about the group structure, it just maps of S3 to S3, because at all points at infinity, R3 you can imagine as a ball which becomes larger and larger, but at all the boundary points I get the same point. So I identify them. So it's like a whole, it's like identifying the sides, all the sides of a square. Okay. Then you get a ball, you get a sphere. Okay. So it is like mapping S3 to S3. Okay. But this is winding number maps. Okay. But this thing here that is, here is a new thing that comes. That is I can map S3 so that the image S3 is covered once, twice, thrice, or in the opposite orientation and so on. So I have all these possibilities. I will write down what examples. So what I have is G infinity is disjoint union of Gn infinity, where G0 infinity, okay, is the Gauss law. Okay, G0 infinity is the one which corresponds to 0 winding number. It corresponds to the thing which can become a constant map.
Sorry, one second.
Huh?
Zero
Sorry?
winding number means?
There is when the image of the space-time, spatial slice into the group, okay, can be deformed to a single point. Okay. So it doesn't cover the whole thing; it just goes to one point homotopically. Okay. I mean up to homotopic. Okay. I will show you an example. So what I can say is, okay, so okay, since G0 infinity goes to trivial representation on quantum states there is a Gauss law. We still, this thing here G infinity over G0 infinity, what is this? It's a group, because G0 infinity is a invariant subgroup, you can easily see, and you can read out what is the quotient is. The quotient is exactly Z, because I'll show you here. Can act non-trivially on quantum. So let me show you. I mean, the Gauss law only requires the bottom. So if I have a winding number 1 map, it can act non-trivially. Let me show you an example. Consider example. I will give you a winding number n map. No? Consider the following thing. I will do the following. In SU2, I consider exponential I theta of r, and I will write tau dot x hat, where theta of 0 is 0. Okay. And I will say theta of infinity is some 2 pi. No. Tau dot x hat is, then this group element, this is a function of x. Now this condition 1 ensures that at r equal to 0 there is no singularity. Right? This is x hat here. At r equal to 0, x hat is not defined, but now I am making sure that this theta vanishes at the origin as fast as you please. So the singularity at the origin is removed by this. Okay. At infinity I put 2 pi, so it is making a 2 pi rotation. At infinity, 2 means g of x goes to identity at infinity. Yes, because if I look at this transformation here, tau dot x hat is just rotation operator. This thing here you can write down. In fact, I can write down g of x as cosine theta of r plus I tau dot x hat sin theta of r. By expanding, and so r equal to 0, this term vanishes and you get g of x equal to 1. Theta of 0 is 0. Okay. At r equal to infinity, what happens? Theta of r is 2 pi, so get what are you, exponential I sin theta vanishes and you get again 1. Okay. Yes.
Similarly, you can have 2 pi n.
2 pi n I will come. Yeah. So this is a particular mapping. Let me call it G1 in view of your notation. Okay. So G1 has a funny property, but G1 cannot be deformed to identity. Why? Because if I try for this expression, a thing like t theta of r tau dot x hat, where t, okay, is not 1. Suppose I try to put a t and make it 0. It's not, okay, it's not in G infinity, right? Because if I take t away from 1, this object here, this won't be 2 pi at infinity, and at infinity you will get a non-trivial rotation, so it won't be identity. Okay, so I cannot deform this to identity. Okay. In fact, what it is in fact it is a winding number 1 map. And there is an invariant. In fact, you can see that you can prove. Okay, winding number is the following formula. I think it is 1 over 24 pi square. You can check this. Okay, this object here, d cubed x, G inverse, let's say epsilon ijk, G inverse Gi G, G inverse Dj G, G inverse Dk G. There is a trace. Okay. This is a formula as an integral. Okay. Normalization I am trying to remember is correct, I think. Okay. And for G1, it is equal to 1. You can calculate it. It's just the, if you are familiar with differential geometry, it is a pullback of the volume form on the image by the map G, okay, and integrated. That is S3, the image has a volume form. Okay. You pull it back by this mapping and integrate here. Okay. If you integrate here, okay, so that will tell how many times I am going over this part here. Okay, that is exactly what it is. Okay.
But here we are on R3. How do you check?
But we have compactified at infinity. These are only, this formula is correct only if this is only for Winding number for G of x going to identity at infinity, or some any constant value. If you put any constant value, they will cancel out. Okay? Yeah? If it is not identity, something else, this formula has not much meaning. Okay? So now, so there is this G infinity. Okay? So consider a group of this winding Z, which can be regarded as this power is a G, right? See, infinite discrete group. I have taken one particular winding number 1 map. To take another one, you won't get anything. They will differ by a Gauss law. So it will go away on the quantum space. Okay. So you can think of it like this. Okay. But the real meaning is that it is a quotient group. Now I can write this G in quantum theory. You may ask, what is G1? G1 becomes this operator exponential I. Okay. Now I take this covariant derivative of this theta of r, okay, tau dot x hat times alpha ei alpha. Your matrices you also put that term in. Okay. So what I have done is to change the, looking at this expression here, this is a Lie algebra valued element and I put it here, okay. And this will, we know that this will generate this gauge transformation on the quantum states, we know that by calculation, okay. So this is a winding number 1 map. This need not be trivial on the quantum states. But I will connect this to our earlier work in a minute. Okay. So what I might have, okay, now what are the representations of Z? It's an additive group of integers, okay. They are labeled by what? By the circle S1. Okay. Okay. So these are labeled by this angle exponential I theta, where the in this particular representation, okay, so call this rho theta. Okay. So rho theta of an integer is exponential I n theta. So this is your theta angle. Okay. So this is the dual of the group of integers, and that happens to be the circle group. That happens to be the circle group. You get this. Okay. So what we are telling is that this operator, okay, so this winding number operator, call it, this is my generating element, call it T, okay. So we can have T on a quantum state is exponential I theta on the quantum state. This is what we are saying, right? Now, but this is all little bit mysterious. But where is it, how is it acting? You may ask. Okay? What is the detail? So we want to know. Okay, more explicit realization. So in quantum we can do one thing. It's convenient, okay, convenient to use what they call Schrodinger representation. Okay, where wave functions are functions of the connection of gate potentials. Okay. So psi is a function of A. These are the position coordinates. Now it's a field, so it is a little bit mathematically not very clear, but we will see later that we will be able to put them together. Okay. So what we need is, okay, so okay, we want the wave function is psi of A, and what I am told is that the Gauss law acting on this is 0. This is Gauss law constraint. But I am also told, okay, that this is same as saying, okay, if you like exponential I g lambda of psi of A, this is the gauge transformation of psi, okay, or let me call it GA G inverse, G0 inverse plus G0 D G0 inverse is psi of A for, let me put like this, okay, is for G0 belonging to G infinity 0. This is same statement. Okay. So I am looking at gauge invariant functions of the connection form A. Okay. You may ask how I constructed. You have to gauge fix and do all BRST whatever. But for the moment I am not bothered. Okay. Okay. So it is invariant. There is no theta angle now. So now in the theta sector, we have wave functions are psi of theta, okay, of A, and what we are told is that this T acting on this gives you, it's a gauge transformation here, okay, this is psi of theta of what I called A of G1, G1A G1 inverse plus G1 D G1 inverse is exponential I theta psi of theta of A. This is what we are saying. Now comes the interesting thing. So now here the Chern-Simons form. Why is it coming here? This, suppose you are given size 0, there is theta equal to 0. Suppose I know how to do it, forgetting all topological complications. Okay. Then I admit a psi theta of A, there is a mapping from one to the other, and that is given by this expression, exponential I theta times, if you will forgive my writing it in differential language, okay, ADA plus 2/3 of A cubed, some constant here, some normalization factor, I think again something like this, acting on psi of 0. This, you have seen that this Chern-Simons form, okay, is not really gauge invariant, for gauge transform T, this object T inverse, it is not really gauge invariant, it is something like exponential I theta over 24 pi square times trace G1 inverse D G1 wedge the same times the Chern-Simons. The Chern-Simons form is not invariant. If you make a Weinstein number transformation, it picks up this factor. Okay. If you make a 0 Weinstein number, it is gauge invariant. So if I make this transformation, you pick this. But this is, you have seen, this is 1, okay, and so this is exponential I theta as I claimed. Okay. So this Chern-Simons form maps you from 0 theta to any other theta. Some time ago somebody has claimed that Chern-Simons itself is a wave function. In some loop gravity, somebody wrote a paper that they can find the solution for all constraint equations in loop gravity using Chern-Simons. Okay. I think it was correct. It was, unfortunately, that I am trying to remember who it was. That was wrong, and it was some years ago. Then Ed wrote a paper, Ed Witten wrote a paper that this cannot be right because by itself this object is not normalizable. Okay, it is a phase. So any kind of norm you put, it will diverge. Okay, it's just a phase. Okay, then the stuff, all details of how to normalization factors, Gaussian cutoff and so on are here. Okay. So that paper was incorrect, and there is a nice paper with harmonic oscillators which he did. Okay. That was many years ago, maybe 10 years, something like that. Okay. So what I have now shown you is how to map the situation where there is no winding number to one where there is a winding number. Now comes the following. Okay. Now we know that this thing here, now, so look at this trace of f by f is a 4 form. This is d of Chern-Simons. As a form. This f by f is a closed form. I think you know it. No? If I take the divergence of the Chern-Simons, okay, in 4 dimension, the 4 form is d of this. Now what this means is, okay, so we can incorporate, okay, Chern-Simons in functional integral by adding to action for theta equal to 0, which I will call it S0, the term. I am not being careful about factors, but it is theta f by f, theta integral f by f. Okay. Because to integrate for, okay, if I have some functional integral exponential I S0 plus, yeah, f by f, this will be, if I integrate, this will be a surface term, okay, up to some time tau, time t0, time t, okay. If I integrate this up to some fine time, this is your wave function then, right? If you, this will be your wave function, as written it will be the wave function of the ground state. Okay. To want to get excited state, you should put junk here. Okay. So this will be, this I can integrate, right? So this will be equal to up to phases, it will be simply equal to the Chern-Simons, there is a theta here, I theta times Chern-Simons times the same expression up to t of dA times exponential I S0. So in this way, what I have done is, if you want to go into the functional integral formulation, which is very popular, you will find that people saying that you have to add this term to the action, okay, to take into account the theta vacua. This is how it comes. Okay. Now of course if you want, you can take this as your starting action and quantize it from here. You will get the similar results as though you had introduced the theta in the way I did for you. Okay.
In your way, theta is this Chern-Simons level.
Theta is,
Like a Chern-Simons level.
No, no, theta cannot be Chern-Simons.
it's not level. No, no. There is no quantization of theta here.
It sounds like just like
If you write Chern-Simons in 3 dimensions, this is not a 3-dimensional theory. If you write Chern-Simons as a 3-dimensional quantum field theory, there is no 4th time, then the coefficient of the Chern-Simons has to be quantized. But here it is not playing that role. It is something which puts in the theta angle on a place where there is no theta angle.
so similar.
Hmm?
It looks very similar to that.
It is similar, but it is the interpretation is not the same. Okay. Okay. Now,
S0 is also the, I mean, for theta equals to 0, you have S0.
hmm,
So that means I will write the generic term as S theta equals theta times F.
plus the S0.
No, no, I'm saying that S theta equals to theta times F by F. That is S theta.
No, no, S theta is the whole thing.
Oh, I see.
The kinetic energy terms are all here.
I see.
Okay.
Ah, right.
This is simply introducing a topological term,
This is a topological term.
ah,
Yeah.
and the way it comes is in the way I told you. Okay. Now, I want to tell you. Okay,
But S0 is F wedge star F.
F wedge F.
S0.
S0 is F wedge star F.
F wedge star F. Right. Yeah.
That is simply E square minus B squared. Okay. Now you may ask,
Maxwell's Chern-Simons.
huh?
In 4th dimension, it's like Maxwell's Chern-Simons.
Sorry,
In 4th dimension, this is a 4th dimension
4-dimensional theory.
version of Maxwell's Chern-Simons.
4-dimensional non-abelian gauge theory.
Young-Mills this is non-abelian. So
And it is it can be for any SUN. Okay. The homotopic, this construction Winding number is the same even if you replace SU2 by SUN. This mapping into the SU2 subgroup is good enough, because there is a famous theorem due to Bott that you can take any such mapping and put it in this one SU2. Okay. Pi 3, there is maps of S3 into any Lie group, semi-simple Lie group, like SU2, SU3, SU4 is always Z. SU2 is the same, SU3 is the same, SU4 is the same, and so on. Okay. So there is no difference on that level. Okay. So this is completely general discussion I have given you. Now,
but the Chern-Simons term that I have written there, this you can write only in 3 dimensions.
spatial dimension I have taken to be 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have space-time dimension is 3.
It in only in 4 spatial dimensions. This F by F term.
That is the 3-dimensional spatial slice has become the 4-dimensional space-time.
That is only space part?
This is a spatial slice, the wave function.
Or spatial size. Okay. Yeah, it's a transformation.
Okay. Now you may ask, how do I do calculations? Okay. It looks very abstract. How do I do? There are a lot of calculations. Okay. Using functional integrals and doing things like that. Index theory. There are a lot of attempts. Normally, to take into account effects of theta, you put in something called instantons where this number is non-trivial. Then, unfortunately, because gauge theories are so complicated, you get into all kinds of cutoffs and operators. But there is one paper you may want to look that with TRG here in Amilcar. We wrote a paper on electric dipole moment. I think this is a very nice paper. Okay. 2 papers are there. Okay. where we were able to enormously simplify the calculation. There are no infinities or anything. Okay? It is a very simple calculation. We were using some technology from effective Lagrangians. We were able to present a formulation where you can do the computation very efficiently. No infinities, no cutoffs, no nothing. Okay? So that was to me personally it was very nice. Okay? Otherwise it is such a mess. But main point is that this term here, this theta term violates P and T, parity and time reversal. Okay. So the result is C is okay, but parity and time reversal violates. The result is that it can induce, it does induce an electric dipole moment of the neutron, okay, which can be tested experimentally. Okay. And experimentally is extremely small. So experimentally theta as an angle is something like degrees radian. Extremely small. Okay. So this is what people call as the strong CP problem. They say CP, but C is not involved here. It's P, they should have called it PT problem. Why is theta so small in QCD? Is the so-called strong CP problem. Okay. And this is where least you try to find solutions using axions, which will cut, which will regularize this theta. I mean, take away the theta. And so there are a lot of masala which is going with this. Okay, which goes by the name of axions. Okay. There are somewhat, they are more or less right, the treatments, because they are not very careful about gauge transformations. Okay, but here everything is in the gauge transformations. Now I want to show where is multiple connectivity. Pi 1 of Q. I started this game by looking at fundamental groups, okay, and then setting up the whole formulation. So where is it coming? Here. The point is the following. Q is space of connections. Okay. A. That is where we are writing the wave functions. Okay. Now there is a very important result, okay, which many people don't seem to know. Okay, that the group G infinity acts freely on this Q. You remember that Q bar is not Q bar, not the Q. This is not the configuration space. I should be a bit careful. This is a universal covering space. Okay. So Q bar is a universal covering space. It will play this role. Is that playing this role? This one. Okay. This object here, the space of connections, is completely topologically trivial, because all the everything, that's because it is convex. Because any two connections you can draw a line between them, right? Any convex combination of two connections is a connection. Ta plus 1 minus T A prime for T between 0 and 1 is a connection, right? So you can draw lines. Any such thing is a convex space, and it is topologically it has nothing to give you. Okay? So this is, I should say that this is not the gauge. This is like a universal covering space where wave functions will be eventually built. Now this acts here. I am going to quotient this, but I am saying that it acts freely here. Okay. For consider Wilson line, okay, some Wilson line W which is path ordered exponential I from any x to infinity of A dot dl along any path. Okay. This is the, so this is W of A. So I am taking x and going to infinity along any path, and I am integrating the A along this line. Now it is a fact that if I take G A G inverse plus G D G inverse, okay, it is a fact that this is equal to, loop people know it very well, it will be simply G at infinity W of A G of x inverse, or let me write G of x this inverse and this one. This is an identity. It is a fundamental property of parallel transform, this operator. Okay. Acts freely means, okay, suppose G belongs to G infinity, it's a gauge transformation and acts freely on the connections, okay, not like, and that's not, suppose G leaves is what, sorry, leaves a connection A invariant. That's what I want. I want to say that such a G is 1. So any connection, any gauge transformation leaves a point of A fixed, then that transformation is trivial. That is what is meant by acting freely. Okay. So how will I prove it? So I am taking a G which leaves this invariant. So by looking at this, okay, you find this is invariant, this is, by assumption this is not changed. So WA is equal to, this is in G infinity, so this is 1, so this is equal to WA GX. But WA is invertible, it is this object, since WA invertible, I say G of x is 1 because I cancel it. This is true for all x, true for all x, because x was any point I picked, x is any generic point. So that means that G, a gauge transformation G going to infinity acts freely on A, implies result. Okay. So a G in G infinity acts freely. I am trying to pick up a fiber bundle structure.
But here you have assumed that G is the invariant. That G belongs to G infinity and it is invariant.
No, I am trying to find out, if it does not act freely, it means that if I take a point, then there are the group elements of the group which are not trivial leaving the point fixed. Okay? That's what it means, right? Not acting freely means that if you take any point, there are group elements which doesn't leave, which leave invariant, which are not trivial. I will show you that there is no such thing. Okay? if a group transformation leaves a connection invariant, it is trivial. That means it acts freely by definition. When a quotient is therefore, okay. Yeah.
Can I repeat the statement? If you have a point and if a group transformation leaves it invariant,
it's trivial.
it's trivial.
Provided it goes to 1 at infinity. This proof is not true if G doesn't go to 1 at infinity, because if it doesn't go to 1, I will get a conjugation, and there are plenty of conjugations leaving a group W invariant. Right? If things on both sides, I can't prove anything. Then it is not true. Okay. So what I got is, so this object here, G infinity acting on A going to A over G infinity is a principal fiber bundle.
What is this Cardi A? Cardi A?
I
No. Cardi
It's the same.
A.
Infinity goes to Cardi A.
Oh, I call it Q bar. The space of connections, because principal fiber bundle requires that this acts freely here, and the quotient is, I shouldn't say A, Q bar, which is Q. This is my Q is my configuration space. Of gauge invariant variables. Because it is, I am quotienting, okay, by gauge transformations. So this is my gauge invariant observables. I started with my this space of connections, okay, and G infinity is acting freely, so I have in fact a fiber bundle structure. Now here I will say my last words. Okay. It's a theorem. Okay. What we want to know is pi 1 of Q bar, okay, is equal to pi, I am looking at, sorry, pi 1 of Q. I want to look at the connectivity of the basic space. Okay. This is equal to pi 0 of G0 infinity. If it happens that pi 1 of Q bar, the numerator, is trivial. If in this ratio, since I should say, Q bar is a space of connections, any pi and anything is 0, okay, because it is a affine space. It is a convex space. Any two lines you can draw by a line, you can join by a line. Okay. So I am assuming that result. I can prove it, but since it's 4:30 exactly, so I am assuming that result. Okay. So this is, so the rule is, this is a simply connected space, which it is in this case. Then the pi 1 of the quotient is given by the pi 0 at the bottom. Pi 0 is what? Is the number of connected components. Okay. This one, okay, by definition equal to number of connected components. equal to by definition. How many pieces are there? Disjoint pieces. But that we know is Z. I proved it to you. Okay. So what I have done here is exactly this universal covering space business, because the configuration space in gauge series is this. Okay. It is multiply connected because of the fact that this bottom here is infinitely connected. Bottom here has infinitely many pieces, okay, disjoint pieces. Okay. So it is jumping in Q bar and connecting points on the fiber. So the quantized I have to go to the universal covering space and look at the representation of the pi 1, which is my Z here. The representation is given by this theta angle. So that's what I have done, but I did this in a completely different way here. Okay, you can use either presentation, but they are the equivalent presentations because of its phenomenological implications in terms of electric dipole moment. Okay. This theta angle, by the way, enters what they call CKM. Do you know about CKM matrix? It enters in a big way, okay, because if the theta angle is there, you have to do some activity by changing the phase of the fermions to cancel this. Then it goes and hits the quark matrix and goes and modifies the quark matrix. There is a whole stuff there. No? So people are concerned, and it affects things like D physics, where this kind of thing is looked for, and it is something one should know, I would say. Okay? So I will stop here. I wanted to connect it to much more trivial example of particle on a circle. Okay. All these things can be understood by understanding the dynamics of a particle on a circle, just like that. Okay. Quantum mechanics of a particle on a circle. Every one of these things happen there. Okay. But that will not be possible because of time. Okay. So I will conclude with this, okay. And later, depending on your input, we continue in January, I guess, or conclude. Okay, that's it. If you have questions, I am here.
Why do you have to take a Wilson line over there? I mean, that's just
There is a device to make the proof. There is a device to make the proof. This is the easiest proof I know, quickest proof I know, okay, of this result. If you want more different kind of proof, I have seen in some old paper by Narasimhan and Ramdas, who have investigated what they call Gribov ambiguities, gate fixing. This problem is still unsolved. We have the professor trying to write a paper. I said somewhere you put the Gauss law condition on the condensate, okay? But yes, you can put it, but to find because the bundle turns out that the bundle is twisted, okay, in some funny way, okay? So that when you try to fix the gauge globally, it doesn't exist.
you can't fix the gauge globally.
You cannot make a global section, okay? You cannot. This is Gribov proof. So then he proved it in one particular gauge fixing, Coulomb gauge, but then people like Narasimhan and Ramdas showed that this is completely general result, okay? With the result that the standard quantization breaks down, not in the non-perturbative regime. How do you handle it? Not understood. Okay? It is simply not understood. And papers keep coming from various sources dealing with this. Okay? Numerical work, but lattice people don't seem to care. I think these are very, these should have resonance. I am sure there are resonances, but they are, I think, not paying attention. Okay? There are very interesting and difficult problems which has something to do with they have all to do with some non-perturbative effects. Perturbation theory, you won't see anything. Everything goes like 1 over E squared. So you won't see anything.